Hey guys, here I have another quick video for you. So in this case, I'm going to change the cover of this vent. As you can see there at the far end of this, it's got a crack there. You can see the outside. So first things first, excuse the wobbling. I try to stabilize the camera, but you still see the wobble. At least the camera isn't shaking now. So first things first is removing that cover with the 4 screws that are holding it in place, and be careful, it's got dirt. This one crank handle also has a screw in it. And the only other thing holding this screen in place besides the 2 screws on the ends, right there, that metal box has a little black ring where the button's at that's holding part of the mesh. So right there you see it's stuck right there at that little black button, that little switch. So I have to take that ring off, and it's kind of tricky because the whole thing is shaking quite a bit, or the whole thing's wiggling in there and not letting it rotate. So you kind of have to hold it steady while you rotate it with a finger to get it started. All right, there we go. The next step, once that screen's removed, is remove the crank handle. So what I like to do is open the vent just a little bit to give me some wiggle room, and then I just remove those 2 screws that are holding that crank handle, and that'll let me open up the cover so that I can slide the other end of that crank out of a groove. And that's it. Now the rest of the work is going to be done on top of the roof. So right here, as you can see, I just have to open one side up to slide it out. And now the new cover, as you will see now in a minute, you'll see that the one side is closed. Right there, it is closed all the way. And the other side, you'll see that little tip is wide open. So you just want to set it in the groove, line it up as it's supposed to be, and slide it over, and then you can close that little tab, and that locks the whole cover in place. And it's that easy. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is put the crank handle in there. So you want to pay attention to that little groove, slide this in that hole, slide it into the cover groove. You'll know what the groove is when you look at it. And because here it's too shiny, you can't really see. Just add the 2 screws to lock that handle in place. And me, I just like to test the system, make sure the crank handle is running smooth before I add more parts to this and close the whole thing up. Alright, works perfect. So now we'll move on to the screen. We'll put the screen up and we'll start locking it in place. Alright, so here you're going to see that I had a little issue here, that as I was trying to put the ring on that switch to the fan, the whole thing was rotating, so it wasn't really biting onto anything, and the switch wanted to go into the hole, which if it did, I would have had to take the whole thing apart. So I'm using the pocket knife to kind of hold it in place so that I can snap that ring on. And then I move on to adding the 2 screws on both ends to hold it in place. And then the handle, I'll put that in place, and I'll add the screw that holds that handle. Once that's in place, everything's working fine, I can go ahead and put the outside cover in place with the 4 screws that it takes, and that job will be complete. Alright, and that's how you change that type of cover. Super easy. You can do it. Have a good day.